take another call right now from South Dakota. Robert. Robert, did you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right, but I kind of got a story and a question to ask. All right, my case is out of Oregon, but I'm in South Dakota. I left Oregon to evade CPS. I had 5 children. 3 got taken from CPS over there. I took off with my 2 youngest over here to South Dakota before they can get a court order. So we came to South Dakota. Started a whole new life over here, pretty much. 3 months, we'll get to 3 months into the case. My daughter calls me and says, "Dad, I want to come home." So I call CPS from Oregon and tell them where we're at. I didn't give them the address right away, but they promised me that they wouldn't take my children. So they send South Dakota CPS over here with a gang of cops. I'm talking about 20 cops, but they came, they inspected our house, they left. They said the house was in perfect shape, nothing was wrong. Fast forward, maybe 2 or 3 hours later, we took the kids to the doctor because we thought they had COVID. We come back and we got a whole bunch of cops waiting for us when we get home. This time they got Oregon got a court order, had a judge sign a court order to pick up the kids for here in South Dakota. We were promised a court date the next day at 9 o'clock. Come to find out that by 5 a.m. the next morning, before we could have a court date here in South Dakota, they flew my kids out into Oregon. And pretty much, just kidnapped our kids. And so this is about 6 months ago that all happened. Since then, I've said to subjecting the kids to domestic violence, mental health issues, and drug and alcohol drinking. I completed my drug and alcohol classes. I've done a mental health assessment. I've done a psychiatric assessment, and they have no intention of returning my kids back here to South Dakota. They actually gave my wife a nice little fat deal, saying, "You come back to Oregon and stay in the shelter without your husband, we'll give back your kids." How do I get my kids back here to South Dakota? And also, there's a visiting issue too. They've given the foster parents way too much control over visits, where I haven't seen my kids for almost 3 weeks now. Is that an issue?
Of course, it's an issue. The judge in Oregon most likely ordered that you have certain types of visitation on a weekly or monthly basis. And if you're not having that, what I would do is contact the attorney that's representing you in Oregon. I don't know if that's a private or court-appointed attorney, and tell him or her, hey, you're not getting your visitation. The likelihood of the children being returned to you in South Dakota at this point in time, especially if your wife goes back to Oregon, is going to be a very low probability of that happening. I don't know if it's possible for you to go back in Oregon and fight for your children, but I would definitely consult with my attorney there in Oregon to find out if that would be a good idea. Fighting a case, especially a juvenile dependency case or a CPS case from another state, just makes the case that much harder. So I don't know, what county in Oregon were you in?
From Marion County. Look, so here's the situation. I was fighting a DUI case out of there too. And a warrant just popped out from May. And so now pretty much DHS has automatically eliminated me from pretty much every court hearing now is about how I evaded the police over there, because it's not an extraditable warrant, as soon as I found out I was going to turn myself in, it's like, well, no, South Dakota doesn't transport over there, and they're not going to come get you. So, so we're in that kind of limbo right now. But the biggest thing is the visits. And, I do have an all right attorney, but I just don't feel that she speaks up, and I called your office too, and I try to, retain you, but they asked for $80,000. I'm like, well, I can't afford $80,000, And so, I'm kind of like,
I dumped that.
I'm getting cut out of the picture. You feel what I'm saying? They said, well, here, your wife can come over here and get the kids, but you can't have no contact with the kids until your wife gets over here, or it's kind of like that situation right now where they said, well, Rosanna can have more visits with the kids, but as long as the father's not around. So I'm like, what the hell? I mean, I've done everything they've asked. I've actually got the psychological appointment for the 16th of this month. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, after the psychological, and they're finding nothing wrong with me, do you think there's a possibility that they will return the kids back here to South Dakota, or is the warrant going to hold that up too?
Warrant's going to hold that up. Definitely, the warrant's going to hold that up, in my opinion. So what I would do is I'd contact a criminal attorney and a CPS attorney, maybe the attorney that's representing you, and try to get a new strategy. Because what you're trying to do right now is trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, and it's just not going to work, no matter how you twist and turn it. So what I need you to do is get some competent legal advice and follow it. Now, I can tell some of the things that these attorneys may be telling you don't like and you don't agree with, and that's okay. It's your life, but you're not going to get what you want unless you progress through the system. And that means taking legal advice from an attorney, even if you don't like it. I tell a lot of people, I tell them advice a lot of times that they don't like to hear. They don't want to hear it. All right. I'm a lawyer. I'm not a magician. I don't have a magic wand, and neither do your attorneys. They can't just wave it and make it so. You have to, at this stage of the case, unfortunately, you're going to have to comply with the legal system. And having a criminal warrant outside of Oregon, if I'm a judge, and I like you, I'm not going to give you the kids if you have a warrant outside of my state. You got to come back to court, and you got to take care of that. Literally, you're a fugitive from the law. Why would you think a judge is going to give you the kids?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say is, it's not like it's a major, not a major warrant. They come and extradite, for DUI.
Robert. You're a fugitive from the law. Bottom line, period. I don't care if it was bank robbery, murder, crossing the street, because of a jaywalking ticket. A warrant is a warrant. Okay? Some criminal judge thought it's serious enough to put a warrant out for your arrest. And if it's not that serious of a situation, you need to go back, in my opinion, and to Oregon and handle it.
2 minutes.
But talk to an attorney in Oregon before you go running back to Oregon, because they might arrest you and put you in jail for a long period of time. I don't know.
That's what I'm sorry. We were working on I got a good criminal defense lawyer over there, Scott Hall. Just put it out there.
Okay. Well, you talk to Scott, and you do, in my opinion, you do what he tells you to do.
Yeah, he's trying to get the warrant dropped. So I think you think if the warrant gets dropped, that we'll be able to proceed with the kids probably come back, right? Or they're going to try to wait until the whole situation's over.
For you, they're going to wait till the whole situation's over because you don't have a good track record. Right? So what I would do is talk to Scott, do what he says, get the warrant taken care of, and then talk to your CPS attorney and do what he or she says, and so that you can move back in. Don't try to squeeze that square into the round hole. It ain't going to work, Robert. Hey, Robert, I want to thank you for calling and thank you for listening. Call us back in a few weeks and give us an update on what's happening. We're going to have to take a break right now, pay some messages and listen to some news. So we'll be right back after these messages.